1, 2, 3, 4.
And welcome back to It's Not a Sport, Season 3, Episode 25. We're almost done with the season, and we're wrapping up with some very, very good news. This week, we're going to get right into the talk, as always, talking about the Overwatch League Grand Finals and Genshin Impact. So it's a split talk this week. Not something I usually do, but they're talk about before it gets really busy with Cyberpunk and the PlayStation's coming out next month, as well as the World League of Legends World Championship, and then we probably end up the show real soon. So I want to get these topics out of the way before I ran out of time. So we're splitting this show. Quick reminder though, leave a like, follow, and subscribe. Really helps me out. You can listen to all of our past shows on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, whatever, SoundCloud. They're all down in the description below, so make sure to check that out. And let's get into Overwatch League, right? So Overwatch League had its grand finals over this past week, and we're just going to go over the bracket real quick, starting with Asians second first seed San Francisco Shock versus Seoul Dynasty, and San Francisco Shock won, and Seoul Dynasty got sent to losers, where Seoul Dynasty went against NA second seed Philadelphia Fusion, and they moved forward. And also then winners, Philadelphia Fusion lost to Shanghai Dragons, which is Asia's first seed and NA second seed, and they went down to losers. So now in this round 2 of losers, we had Shanghai Dragons versus Seoul Dynasty. Seoul Dynasty won. And then winners, we had San Francisco Shock versus Shanghai Dragons. Shanghai Dragons lost, and San Francisco Shock moved forward to finals, where congratulations to San Francisco Shock for being the 20 World Overwatch Grand Final winner. So that's how it played out. I didn't watch the games, all the games. I watched highlights. I watched highlights of the grand finals. It's been very, there's a lot of, games going this in League, and I don't follow Overwatch League as much as I do the League of Legends esports or other esports. So I just watched some of the highlights when I had the chance. And I want to bring to people's attentions kind of the of Overwatch League and why I find it so difficult to watch. And just in general, they have a very different formatting than other leagues. Of course, every league has their own formatting. I think their league first goes really fast. A lot of games and a lot of grindy games, it seems like. And these games are long games because of the maps, because of the game modes, because of how the game works as a whole. And because of that, that's one reason why to watch Overwatch League, because of how long these games can be. They're best of 5 of like 30-minute best of 5s, and it can go really, really long. But that's not even the main reason. So like what I really want to talk about is not discount the game's balance and all the issues that it's had for a very long time now. I know how competitive play works, where it basically revolves around who has ultimates and who doesn't. It's like the production, et cetera, how long the games are schedule wise. I just want to, if you're watching this on our YouTube, the live version, I just want you to look at the screen and watch this game and look at how hard it is to follow from a viewer standpoint. If you don't know what you're really hard to follow Overwatch League. It's not like CSGO or Valorant, where you can watch the player play from his perspective and it's very slow. It's you can see what he's doing. Overwatch is a very hectic game. It's a battle like TF2. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of flashy effects, a lot of abilities. Everyone's doing their own thing. And because of that, and how they spectate this game where it's in first person and they're consistently jumping back and forth between perspectives, it is incredibly hard to watch and incredibly hard to follow these games, on top of them just being very long as well. I'm looking at currently Hanzo's playing, and we're looking at the Hanzo player's view, and he just cuts back to first person of another player, and then just cuts immediately to another player, and it's very, very hard to watch. This is the main issue I think with the Overwatch League. Not discounting not the games, but or the game itself, or the teams or the players or anything, or the narratives or anything like that. The reason why I find it hard to get Overwatch League is just because the perspective is really, really difficult, and you don't know what's happening. You don't know what's going on. It's such a fast-paced game. It doesn't work for esports. Games do like CS:GO. CS:GO works for esports because the player, you can watch and you can understand what's going on. Same with League. You see everything, you get every piece of information, but how much it cuts, it's like watching action movies fight scene. So I know I'm bitching about this. I want to talk a little bit more about the esports games, and I feel like I always do this whenever I bring up Overwatch League. The games themselves are really, actually, if you can get past how like the perspective is, which is my main issue again. The games themselves are actually really good. The San Francisco shot, Soul Dynasty, is really good. I like seeing how Overwatch League as a whole does it more internationally, where they split it up into two regions, where there's an Asia region and there's an NA region, and they both play together, play each other, and we get to see who's the best of the best in each section. I like how, compared to League, there's, I believe, no import rule for Overwatch League, so I guess that's because you're not getting a lot of native talent, but there's a lot of Korean talent in there. So take that as you will. But I like the mixture of it. I like how they scheduled it, where it's San Francisco Shocks and Seoul, and I'm from Seoul, I may root for them. If I'm from San Francisco, I'm rooting for them. So you actually have a team to kind of root for, other than just like, whoever the fuck wins when it comes to most league teams. It's actually because they split it up by. And I know that some of these teams are like Philadelphia Fusion, for example, has like a huge arena in Philly that they just built, and it's really supportive there. So like I really like how Overwatch League is set up and systemized. Comes on the game side of things, and it always has been with the Blizzard side of things. Even recently with the Shadowlands delays, if we're looking at WoW and them more tackling that front as a whole, they're losing that front, where like now a lot of people are pissed about certain things. I believe the new soulbind abilities for this new expansion can only be used in the new area and can't be used in older or any other content. So like people are pissed about that. It's really, again, goes back to what about Blizzard and what's happening with them, which is actually some very interesting news regarding them. Not negative, probably positive, which we'll be talking about later in the news section. So with that being out of the way, League, this is the Genshin Impact part. So if you don't like anime shit, if get out of here. But really why I want to bring this up is because of the monetization practices and how big this game is right now. So if you don't know what Genshin Impact is, essentially the best way to describe it is a Breath of the Wild clone with gotcha elements developed by Minhyong, I believe I'm pronouncing that right, a company in Shanghai, China, I believe is where they're located. But they've done a lot of games. So I'm going to split this up into two parts, really, and I want to talk about the game itself before I get into the monetization part. The game itself is actually really nice. It's been blowing up over the internet. It's a very very interesting one that it is on iOS, Android, PC, and play PS4, and then later for the Switch. So you can play it on any platform. And PC and iOS mobile has this kind of like share deal coming on right now. So that's a very interesting thing. I've always talked about how mobile is really pushing into the future and how much money they're making off of that. So that's one very interesting aspect of the game. The second interesting aspect is it's how it's built. It's a Breath of the Wild's clone. It's like if you couldn't afford a Switch and couldn't afford Breath of the Wilds, here you go. Here's actually a good game that's very similar to Breath of the Wild's playstyle. That's about the exploring aspect, the climbing aspect, the gliding aspect. It's really, really Breath of the Wild's heavy, and it's really fun because of that, and because of how beautiful the world is. The combat isn't anything impressive, but the world itself is it's not to the level of Breath of the Wild. still there, and it's still very beautiful to play the world. And that's probably part of the why I enjoy it so much, just because the game wants you to explore and you know, explore the world, do whatever. It's very beautiful in that regard. Now, that's just, I would say, the gameplay part of it. Where we kind of get now between the lines would be how the characters work and how uh the game and the gameplay of the grind as well. So it is an RPG, and it is very grindy. And we see this in a lot of mobile games because it is very present in mobile games. Candy Crush has it. Fate Go has it. That's probably the one that comes to mind. It's basically that of an energy or stamina system. And this game has an energy or stamina system. It has it for the dungeons that you're supposed to grind, or the daily supposed to grind in order to get the materials to level up your character. And I'm saying this now because it's split, because the energy systems, I don't like energy systems. This is the problem where, one, this is a Chinese game, and they're going to have a lot of Chinese very big over there. They're going to have monetizations like that. And because of their monetization model, which is gacha, which, if you don't know what gacha is essentially a slot machine, they have to do something like this. So you are gatekeep materials to level up the characters that you need each week. And right now it's really, really bad, because people want to play the game because you can go grind mobs and cook and do all this other fun stuff gameplay wise. But then when you get in between, it gets a little sketchy. So a lot of people for either the removal of the resin or energy system, or reworks of it, because right now you don't have enough energy to actually do what you want to do unless you're playing for 5 minutes a day. So, and I bring that up because that I think people should be aware of in mobile gaming, because it's a very I would say out of date system. I don't think it works too well, and it can be problematic if done wrong, like we see here. I'm gonna get into a little bit of some other stuff about the game, mostly doing with China, before I get into the monetization. So China, it's a Chinese company. We all know how I like them. On one hand, they do good stuff like this, but on the other hand, they also do very, debatable things that they could do. One thing, I guess, right here, I don't care about this, but it makes sense. You don't know, in China, if you're making a game in there, you have to, abide by their laws. It just has to. Generally, game developers will have a global version of a game, and then they'll have a Chinese version of it. And the Chinese version will censor, of course, words like which the Chinese government doesn't like, Hong Kong, because the protests, they don't like that. They also censor things like Hitler, I think, and a whole bunch of other like phrases that are not deemed good in his government. So and this game censors all of that via chat, which I guess people are it's not a big deal, but I thought it's worth bringing up because of the Chinese censorship and the Chinese government and how things work there. It is very, very odd to me how to that, or I'm have to be more cautious when playing these games. I always feel like there's always, when game developers release a game, there's always a underlying sub goal that they don't want you to see, to get. And you have to think about who you're giving the money to, and if you want to support this game moving forward. Genshin Impact is a game that I like, but because of how China's business practices are, I don't practices, and because of how the game's current state and model is, I don't like those. So I'm very, very cautious about how I spend my money if I'm going to support this game. Leagues This is a prime example of this, and we've seen these shitty, more aggressive monetization practices over the years. If you look at League of Legends back in the day, we used to get really good quality, skins for all types of different champions for whoever be willing to spend a lot of money. I spent a lot of money on League, but now they pump out these, same type of skins, Techno, E-Girl, etc., etc. If you look at the KDA skin that they released this year versus the same ones they did last, exactly the same to me. Or not the previous KDA skins. They look exactly the same to me, and they're for the exact same popular champions over and over again. And those type of business practices I don't want to support anymore. I get they're popular, et cetera, but me personally, that's what I don't want to support anymore. And that's kind of the same thing with Genshin Impact censorship. It's the business practices. It's where is my money going and how are you going to use it. So with that out of the way, I really want to talk about with Genshin Impact, which is the gacha features and the rates. If you don't know what a gacha system is, imagine you go to a casino and you spend $5 for premium currency and you get to pull the slot machine one time, right? And you get maybe, and there's rates, you get a 5% rate of getting something good, and then another 5% of getting something or another like maybe 15% of getting something other good, and then the rest is just whatever, and you're just pulling the slot machine, hoping you get something really good or something you want. It's essentially what a gacha model is it's gambling. It's a slot machine. It's gambling. We talked about it before. Now, here's the thing. Chinese law, which is really good, again, they make you discount the rates of the drop rates of what you're going to be spending on. And then, of course, because of that, you get to see the rates, and really you're to always wants the player always be at a deficit to spend money so they can gamble in the slot machine to hope they get the characters that they need. And that's how Genshin Impact works, and that's how Fate Go works. And I'm going to compare the two. That's basically gacha. So I'm going to compare the two right here. And if we look here on this, if you're looking at the screen, you have a base of 0.6% chance of getting a 5-star character or a weapon. Extremely low. Fate the Grand Order was known for having the lowest drop rates out of any gacha, out of Arc Knights, out of fucking Azorius Lanes, any of those. It's no list. But here's my argument for why I kind of like playing Fate and its gacha system versus Genshin Impact, and why I don't think it works for Genshin Impact. Fate the Grand Order is 100% a guy who knows that its gameplay isn't even that compelling to compare it to Genshin Impact, which is basically imagine Breath of the Wild, but instead of your weapon breaking, you have to pay money to get the weapons you needed to fight Ganon, and people are spending millions of dollars trying to get the master. Right? But even though Genshin Impact has a 0.6% chance of getting a character, Fate has a 1% chance. Better. Like, that's outrageous. And this game was known for having the lowest drop rates ever. So it's chance of getting a 5-star, 3% of getting a 4-star, 40% of getting a 3-star or a the crafting essences, which is like your armor or gear. And then for Genshin Impact, it's 0.6%, 5.1% of getting a 4-star, and 94.3% of getting a 3-star weapon. Now, those rates are on Genshin Impact are actually fucking terrible compared to Fate Go. And worse, because now I bring this up. Now, benefit of the doubt here, Genshin Impact monetization system does have a average pity system, which means I think every 90 rolls, it gives you one for free. It gives you a chance. So that goes up to, so with the pity system goes up to 1.6, 13%, and 84.5 4% with the pity system. But the problem is, and then of course they have rate ups, which rate ups are just special banners, which they'll you have a higher chance of getting a new character or something like that. That's basically rate ups. But here's the thing, okay? Um, Genshin Impact's roster currently does not support or doesn't have enough characters, I think, to justify these rates. There's only, I believe, 4 5 stars in the game, maybe 5 of them, and you only have a 0.6% of chance of pulling one of them. So there's not enough things in the pie in order for you to pull it. Of thousands, like 100 servants, like 200 or something servants, I think now, almost 300. So even though you have that 1%, like, is really low, the pool itself is so big that you have a pretty good chance good or getting that 1% out of it. In Fate Go, I've been playing this game since the beginning of this year. And I remember when I first started, I pulled a 5 star and a rate up banner twice. And I only rolled on it maybe about 5. And then maybe that's just really good luck. But I have about maybe 5 or 6 5 stars in that game over the course of playing from now to the beginning of this year. And that's because the loot pool is so big out of the pie that this 1% never feels diminishing. Genshin Impact, so far, I've maybe done about 10 or so pulls, 10 pulls, and I have not gotten even close to seeing anything of that 0.6%. So the only saving grace with Genshin Impact's gacha models, besides the pool being small and everything else, just like there's no characters, really nothing there but weapons that are useless that you can get in the game anyway, is that they give you the Stardust and Star Glitter currency, which is basically a pity currency that if you roll enough, you get enough of this currency that you can pay to get more rolls or other materials. Now, the monetization of this game is in a really, really bad state, where the other part is in a good, the gameplay part of it is in a good state. So I recommend you check it out. Don't spend any money on it, but check it out. Anyway, I know it's really, really long, and we still got some good news to cover. So we're going to move into that right now. All right, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed our talks. Really fun to do. I like talking about monetization stuff. I like talking about games in general and esports as well. So I hope we're gonna get right into the news because there's a lot of it, and I know this show is kind of long as well. So if you're here for the news, we're gonna start that now. Starting with Bravery Default 2 news will be announced soon. So that was announced on a Japanese Twitter post. We are looking forward to that game coming out. That will be out real soon. We also have PS5 users will be able to play Final Fantasy 14 with faster loadings and PS4 Pro display settings. So they're porting 14 to the PS5 as well. I don't know why they wouldn't do this, so that's good as well. And then we have Star Citizen turns 8 years old really soon, and there's still no single player campaign out. So Citizen it's one of, like, I think the most expensive fundraise crowdfunded games ever, and it's been dark forever. And if you spent money on this, so that's something that is continued. It's been in development for forever. It's split into like 2 different games. It's a whole show in its own. So yep. Then we have some sad news, and this is going to go into something I'm going to talk about kind of towards the end. New 001 is leaving Riot Games. You don't know who this is? He was I believe, a producer for League of Legends for the past like 8 years, and he did a tweet about it saying that he's leaving the company and he's going somewhere else. He's not the only big Riot, and there's some speculations behind that, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. So uh, stay tuned to that. Then we have Activision Blizzard is set to close its France office. Another, really sad, thing that Activision Blizzard is under some real heat over the last couple years. FIFA 21 Legacy Edition Switch review. I bring this up because this is funny. IGN literally copy and pasted their previous review of FIFA to this new game, and then they just gave it a lower score. And they did that because the game itself is literally copy and pasted. So I thought that was really fucking funny that they did that, and I want to bring this up real fast because that's some funny news. Told employees that it plans to release a browser-based app for the Xbox Game Pass streaming service next year that will get around Apple's and App Store rules. We absolutely will end up on iOS. So they plan in-browser app to get around the iOS terms of service for the App Store. They also hate Apple right now, along with Epic. Epic is, I think, currently losing the lawsuit in terms of and the in-game shop there, but maybe they'll do the same thing here or team up with Xbox to do something here. So I thought that was very interesting to bring up. We all knew it was going to happen. Avengers dips below 1,000 players on PC, causing when this game came out, everyone said the story was good and everything else was ass. And then it's been very slow with updating. In today's world, you have to update games fast. Before the game even comes out, you need to have content ready for a week or two later. Update the game, otherwise you'll lose players, and it has lost a lot of players. 1,000 people playing is essentially a dead game. It's really hard to get players back. So it's really difficult for a game that is based on players playing it forever, like Destiny. So this is 2020's anthem right here. Riot Morelos leaves Riot Games after 10 years. If you don't know who Riot Morelos is, he has been a driving forces for League of Legends success. He's been the driving forces for Valorant success. He was the Valorant game designer, but he is also left now, so he's moved on to better things, hopefully. And it's really sad to see. He was, there's an item named after him in the game. That's just how big of an impact he had on League of Legends. And now he has moved on to a different job. I wish him the best of luck, and that game's probably got a really good future moving forward. Fantasy 16's basic development and scenario production is already complete, which is good to hear because generally these games have got a memed on for taking 10 years to complete. But if the basic development and the scenario story is already completed, that's good to hear. So maybe we can see that very close to next year or at least 2022. Then we have Valorant's new agent was revealed at the start of season 3. So he also left the game in a good note. They added Sky to the game. She looks cool. She looks kind of overpowered, honestly. So that's good. They also added a map as well. Yes, they added a new map called. That's where I think Valorant is always really bad. Their map design has been terrible. I don't know about this map. I know the last one was really, really, really bad. So we will see how this one pans out. OPL dead. Rest in peace, the Oceania Pro League. So if you don't know what OPL is, it is basically the Australia League, Professional League of Legends. And over the course of this week, it has been officially disbanded, where all players are classified as North Americans. They should be classified, I don't know why, but they're classified as North Americans. But the OPL is officially dead. It's really sad to see a league go, but it's gone. I mean, really surprised. I think you get a lot of positives and you got to get a lot of negatives. I think Riot's going through a lot of negatives, but it's being covered by Worlds, and then Blizzard is also going through a lot of negatives. So times are changing. It's very interesting. just to get you an idea on how big Genshin Impact actually is, 17 million downloads on mobile alone, estimated 50 million in revenue since launch. And this launched September 28th. This game was big. Definitely check it out if you haven't already. And then last, before we get into just a quick league esports news, Cyberpunk has gone gold. They also went into crunch, which is bad, and they've been getting kind of a lot of flame for that, and they've been also fighting back. It's gone gold, which means it's complete. So right now they're just fixing bugs or something like that. Really nice. Can't wait to play it next month. So now let's get into some esports. Right. And just before we get into esports, before I forget, let's talk about where I think Morello's and are going, which is Dreamhaven. So if you don't want to know what Dreamhaven is, it is kind of the pride, hope, and joy of Blizzard fans right now. The former Blizzard president, he is gaming company, like a new gaming studio called Dreamhaven, and this is where people are speculating that Morello's is going. And new 001 are going, leaving Riot, because Riot's one of the biggest game developers the US, and Blizzard is also another one. So this is, this starting up this deal is where people think those two are going, and I think that's probably right, just because who else been working at the Riot for 10 years, and he's probably has such a big foothold in there. So the opportunity that they would have to give him would have to be really big, and someone else who would have to know what they're doing in order for him to leave and take that opportunity. Maybe it. So we'll have to wait and see, but that's probably the door of where this is where he's going. This is really, really new, and I want to bring up that speculation because I think it's very interesting. This game, stuff like that open up. So now let's get into esports. We already talked about Overwatch League. We're going to talk about League real quick, talking about the groups. And since groups is now officially over, in Group A, first, G2 and second, they move forward. Team Liquid and Machi go home. Team Liquid's third, Machi's last. In Group B, we have Damwon Gaming and JD Gaming. PSG Talon and Rogue was last. They go home. In Group C, we have Gen G and Fnatic moving forward. LGD Gaming, TSM, North America's first seed, okay, to represent North America, and they are the only team in history to be a first go 0-6, not winning a single game against any team. 0-6. They are the shame. You should stone them, throw tomatoes at them. They are really, really, really fucking bad, and this is really embarrassing for them to go 0-6. So, without further ado, they go home crying. It's sad, but it's not. Which of course is top and Dragon X going moving forward, and FlyQuest and Unicorns of Love are going home. So now we have best of 5 brackets, starting with the qualifier stage, and the best of 5. The first will be Top Esports versus Fnatic. Whoever wins that moves forward to semifinals, and then we have Sunning versus JD Gaming. Whoever moves that moves to semifinals, which means in the semifinals have Top versus Sunning or JD, or Fnatic versus Sunning or JD. So look forward to that. These are best of 5 games now. So this is really where, the tournament really starts to fucking heat up. Gen G versus G2, and Damwon Gaming versus Dragon X. So whoever wins those best of 5s moves forwards into semifinals as well, which can either be Damwon Gaming or Dragon X, or G2 versus Damwon Gaming or Dragon X. Now, and then whoever wins those semifinals, of course, moves into finals, which will be very, very soon. Now, the funny thing about this group draw that is that if we look at the top half of the bracket, we have Top Esports, which is Chinese, Fnatic European, Sunning, which is Chinese, and JD Gaming, which is Chinese. Then we have in the bottom half, we have Korean, G2, which is European, DM1, which is Korean, and Dragon X, which is Korean. So basically, we have a Chinese bracket and a Korean bracket split with 2 European teams. So interesting, which basically means that probably at the end of this is just top versus or Chinese team versus a Korean team. Because the Chinese teams all get knocked out in the top half, and the Korean teams all get knocked out in the top half. Maybe if we're should be fucking fantastic. We get G2 and Fnatic move forward, and then we get a G2 and Fnatic European finals. That would be really fun. A crazy story, but that's probably not what's going to happen. Anyway, look at my pick'ems. They're actually split between me and my father. I, on the other hand, in Group D, I got 100% correct. In Group B, I messed up. I put Rogue third in Talon. In Group A, which were my father's group, completely botched. I don't blame him. He doesn't know the game. I had this group, if I talked about before, it would have been somewhat spot on. My only difference is I had Sunny, or I had Sunny second, I believe. I don't really remember. So that's Group A is completely botched for me. And Group C, again, this was my dad's group. He knows TSM the most. He puts them first. They completely botched. That's not his fault. Group C and Group A are botched, but Group B and Group D are pretty much the same. For game releases of this year in October, not much has come out. Again, the FIFA game got shit reviews. Torchlight 3, Amnesia Rebirth, Pokemon Sword and Shield. Excuse me, not a whole lot of stuff comes out. Pikeman 3 Deluxe. We're really looking forward to, which will be Cyberpunk Devil May Cry Special Edition, the Destiny 2 expansion, yada yada yada. With that being said, that's gonna be our show for this week's of It's Not a Sport. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to listen, those are up on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iTunes. All the links are in the description below. Make sure to check out on our Instagram, It's Not a Sport to You. All links down in the description. This has been your host, Salty Waffles, signing off. You guys are having a wonderful climb.